What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you. This is a prediction for the matchup on June the 18th. Jason Litzau versus Adrian Broner. Matchup takes place on HBO on the undercard. Saul Alvarez versus Ryan Rhodes. This matchup isn't for any championship. It's just a matchup at 1:30. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not much of a fan of Adrian Broner. I watched his. See, prior to the match with De Leon, I've seen little clips of him here and there, and seen a few of his fights, and was quite impressed of how he looked against talent, against the opposition that he faced, of course. And he goes in, he fights Daniel Ponce de Leon, and yeah, he's cocky and arrogant, but it just felt as if he was just blatantly disrespecting a fighter that's supposed to be that's done a whole lot for the sport for numerous years, put on some great fights. And one of my favorite fights, I love the match between De Leon and Penalosa. It was a match and it was another match, but I can't name it off the top of my head, but De Leon has put together some good fights, and I just didn't like how disrespectful he was to him in that fight. Just dancing around, moving his shoulders, and I can understand cockiness, this, that, and the other, but just blatantly disrespecting a fighter that or a veteran in the sport that's done a whole lot for the sport, man. That's it's all really uncalled for. Trying to taunt a legend and stuff. It is what it is, but we've seen it before. In the sport, we've seen it numerous times where the younger fighter taunts the older fighter. We've seen it numerous times, but when you're not doing anything, what's the point of celebrating? And to be honest with you, coming into this match, I'm trying my best not to have any bias, against Adrian Broner. But I can honestly say that I just was not impressed. I wasn't necessarily impressed of his performance against Ponce de Leon. And there's a couple factors that you can bring up into this matchup. The fact that he was facing a southpaw, he was facing a veteran fighter that continued to come forward and threw a lot of punches, and that made him, and that made way for a little more difficult of a fight. But overall, we saw him freeze. We saw him freeze and not really do anything in the early goings of the matchup. So we saw a few deficiencies within Broner's game in that matchup, but we have to take into consideration that this is a totally different style than the fighter he's going to face on June 18th, Jason Litzau. Jason Litzau is coming off of a very good victory from November 27th against Celestino Caballero, who many say is one of the most ducked fighters in the world, and people like Juanma Lopez and Yuriorkis Gamboa aren't facing this guy, this, that, and the other. He's consistently calling them out on a regular basis, like in almost every interview that he's in. He goes in, he basically derails those plans. He took advantage of it, seized the opportunity, and now Jason Litzau is back to fighting on HBO cards, or at least undercards. Jason Litzau, what he did right in that matchup was he kept everything up the middle. He took advantage of the fact that Caballero was an arm puncher, and utilized his jab and just went right up the middle. But there were a few deficiencies in that matchup that might benefit Adrian Broner. The fact that Adrian Broner is a counterpuncher and Litzau does not protect himself at all times could make way for an easy target for Adrian Broner. There's going to be many openings if Litzau doesn't defend himself. So in this matchup, what Jason Litzau wants to do, Jason Litzau, of course, wants to protect himself at all times. He wants to, he wants to keep that glove up. Whenever he throws, he has a tendency to have his arm down. He has a tendency to have his arm down when he's inside. He doesn't protect himself when he's in close quarters with the fighter. So in this matchup against Adrian Broner, of course, Jason Litzau has to take the lead, but he has to take the lead in spurts. Jason Litzau is very good at taking the lead in fights. He's very good at being aggressive. He's usually aggressive in fights. He's usually walking forward and using his hand speed. He throws a very good double left hook, very good right hook. He throws a decent straight right hand, and it's pretty much what he does well. He can move a great deal. He knows how to dictate the pace, whether he's walking or moving counterclockwise. And in this matchup, I just think that he needs to have a bit of a mixture of those styles. He does want to take the lead. He does want to look for the left to the body, and look for basically. It was De Leon's bread and butter in the early rounds. It was his bread and butter because. So for Litzau, due to the fact that he's not a southpaw, Litzau wants that jab to the body. He wants to establish a jab to the body, and maybe it works for him in the later rounds. Maybe it slows down Broner. Sustain the nice, a nice jabbing attack to the body. Sustain a nice jab to the body, and look up top, look for combinations up top, and only do them in spurts against Adrian Broner because 3 shots. Compared to one Adrian Broner shot, is going to look much better for the judges. So that's pretty much all he has to do in this matchup. Just, I think, throw at a high volume and take the lead and jab to the body. Get his shots off first. Win the exchanges. If there are exchanges, or better yet, look better during the exchanges, and Jason Litzau could very well win this match, take the fight to him, get inside the lead foot, because it's easy to get inside his lead foot. He doesn't have the upper body elusiveness to evade all the shots and find all kinds of openings the same way that Floyd Mayweather is able to. So, and that's kind of a bit of a style he likes to emulate in a way. So just keep him on the defense the entire matchup, and he can very well win this match. For Adrian Broner, it's going to be a little more difficult against Jason Litzau, but also it could be a bit easy. As I mentioned, Jason Litzau has openings up top. Every time he throws his punches, every time he misses, there's just a wide opening for Jason Litzau. And there's the trash truck outside. But anyway, they're pretty much wide openings. There's like I mentioned, he drops his hand when he gets inside. He has a tendency to drop his left hand when he walks in with his shots. And he doesn't necessarily have to be throwing punches. He could be walking out of shots. He could be putting his hands down when he's walking out, which is a real fundamental flaw, because the objective in boxing is to protect yourself at all times. And Litzau has a tendency not to protect himself at all times. All throughout his career, Jason Litzau has been susceptible to the left hook. That's always going to be the kryptonite for Jason Litzau, is the left hook. The shot that's going to be open for Adrian Broner, more than likely this entire matchup, is going to be the left hook. And if he throws the left hook, when the left hook lands on him, he does try to get the hand back up. But what's going to be open after the left hook is a straight right hand. Adrian Broner needs to follow up the left hook with the straight right hand, and pretty much throw more combinations, be a little bit busier, and pretty much I think he could win this matchup. But what could be trouble in this matchup for him is letting Jason Litzau come to him. It's letting him come to him, and Jason Litzau comes in and throws a million volume punches and walks out. And that's not really Jason Litzau's style. Jason Litzau's more of an aggressive but assertive type fight. He comes in, he'll throw what he has to throw, and he'll come out, but he does get over aggressive. So in this matchup, I'm going to go with Jason Litzau in this matchup. I like Jason Litzau in this matchup because I think he's going to be aggressive, and I think he's going to throw. I think he's going to throw the most punches, and I think he's going to be able to be effective throwing a lot of punches. You know, coming forward and just putting together his combinations. I just think he's gonna be the busier fighter in this one. So I think Jason Litzau should definitely take this matchup, though. Though Adrian Broner does have power, in both hands, and in a way, I think he could knock out Jason Litzau. He can knock out Jason Litzau if he gets him with a good counter shot, or hits him with a shot he doesn't see. But just in this match, I'm going to go with Jason Litzau. I'm going to go with the veteran in this one. So anyway, guys, that was Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.